The morning sky above Iowa was a soft gray, heavy with mist that clung to the rows of corn stretching toward the horizon. The air smelled of damp earth and summer growth, and the quiet was broken only by the occasional caw of a crow perched on a fence post. Bill Taylor stood on his porch, a steaming mug of coffee in one hand, his old shotgun leaning against the railing. He was 62, with a weathered face lined by years of sun, storms, and hard labor. His flannel shirt was patched at the elbows, his jeans faded, his boots scuffed from endless days in the fields. To anyone who knew him, he was just another stubborn farmer working land his family had held for 3 generations. But to Bill, the silence this morning felt wrong. The air had a weight to it, like the world was holding its breath. He squinted across the cornfields. The mist seemed thicker than usual, rolling in waves like something alive. A dog barked in the distance and then fell silent. Bill frowned. His old hound never stopped barking unless something spooked it bad. "Storm coming," he muttered to himself, though his gut told him otherwise. Bill's farm was isolated, a good 10 miles from town. He liked it that way. No traffic, no noise, just the earth, the crops, and the quiet rhythm of work. But today, the quiet felt unnatural. He set down his mug, picked up the shotgun, and stepped off the porch. Gravel crunched under his boots as he walked toward the barn. That was when he heard it. A low hum, deep and steady, not like any tractor or aircraft he'd ever known. It vibrated through the soil, tickling the soles of his boots, rattling the boards of the barn. Bill froze, his knuckles tightening around the shotgun. He turned toward the sound. The mist above the fields glowed faintly, shimmering with colors that had no place in nature, violet and emerald, bending and twisting like oil on water. The hum grew louder, now a thrumming pulse that made his chest vibrate. Birds burst from the trees, shrieking, fleeing toward the horizon. And then the sky ripped open. A black shape emerged, vast and angular, blotting out the sun. Its surface gleamed with alien metal, edges too sharp, movements too precise. The vessel descended with terrifying grace, its bulk larger than Bill's entire farm. The humming became a roar as the craft slowed, casting a shadow that swallowed the cornfield whole. Bill stumbled back, nearly dropping his shotgun. His heart hammered against his ribs. He had seen science fiction movies, sure, but nothing like this. Nothing so real. The ship hovered, engines churning the mist into violent spirals. A seam split open along its underside. Ramps unfolded, slamming into the earth with metallic finality. Figures emerged, silhouettes backlit by the glow of alien light. They were tall, armored, moving with an unnatural fluidity. Their helmets gleamed, faceless and cold, their armor reflecting the golden sunrise. Each carried weapons, long, angular things that looked designed for killing, not intimidation. Bill raised his shotgun, though his hands trembled. "Not on my land," he muttered under his breath. The lead figure stopped at the edge of the corn, tilting its head as if studying him. Then, in a voice metallic yet chillingly clear, it spoke. "Human, identify yourself." Bill spat in the dirt. "Name, Bill Taylor, this is my farm, and you're trespassing." The alien tilted its head again, almost amused. Behind it, more soldiers marched into the cornfield, their movements unnervingly coordinated. Another voice crackled over their comms, sharp, commanding. "Secure the area, neutralize resistance." Bill's blood ran cold. He wasn't imagining this. It wasn't a prank, wasn't a dream. Aliens, real armed aliens, had landed in his cornfield. And they weren't here to make friends. He backed slowly toward the barn, keeping his shotgun trained on the closest figure. His mind raced. His late father had once told him the government installed a panic button in rural farms after first contact rumors 5 years back. Bill had dismissed it as nonsense when a black-suited agent handed it to him, but maybe, just maybe, it was real. If he could get inside the barn, he could hit it. The alien closest to him stepped forward. "You will comply." Bill swallowed hard. He didn't comply, he fired. The shotgun blast shattered the morning quiet, echoing across the fields. The alien staggered back, armor sparking where buckshot tore into it. For a heartbeat, Bill thought it had no effect. But then the armored figure dropped, collapsing into the corn. Bill blinked in disbelief. He'd killed it. The others froze for half a second, then chaos erupted. "Engage," barked a guttural voice. Blue-white bolts of energy scorched the air, searing into the ground around him. Dirt exploded, corn stalks burst into flames. Bill dove behind the tractor as shots ripped through the barn's siding. His lungs burned, his ears rang, but adrenaline pushed him forward. He scrambled into the barn, slamming the door shut behind him. Energy blasts punched holes through the wood, light slicing across his face. He threw himself toward the far wall, where the panic button was hidden under an old tarp, a plain black box with a single red switch. He didn't hesitate, he slammed his palm down. A siren wailed, piercing and shrill, echoing across the countryside. Somewhere deep underground, machines woke. Somewhere far above, satellites realigned. Somewhere across the world, soldiers scrambled from bunks. Bill pressed his back against the wall, clutching the shotgun, his chest heaving. Outside, the aliens regrouped. He could hear them barking commands, their voices sharp and angry. One of them snarled in a language he didn't understand, then switched to English. Capture the human alive. The barn door shuddered under the impact of something heavy, boards splintered. Another slam. Bill braced himself, shotgun aimed at the door, his finger hovered on the trigger. But then the sound changed. Not the aliens, not his shotgun. Engines, powerful, familiar, roaring engines. Bill's eyes widened as shadows swept overhead. Aircraft, fast, sleek American. Jets screamed across the sky, contrails streaking through the clouds. The barn shook as sonic booms cracked the air. And then the world exploded. Missiles struck the alien vessel, blossoms of fire erupting against its hull. The air turned to thunder, shockwaves knocking Bill to the floor. He scrambled to his knees, peeking through a crack in the barn wall. The alien ship burned, shields flaring as it returned fire. The morning sky lit up with war, jets diving, lasers flashing, explosions tearing through the mist. Cornfields burned, smoke rose. The world Bill Taylor had known all his life was being torn apart before his eyes. The barn door shattered inward, ripped from its hinges. Bill whipped the shotgun up but froze. Standing there wasn't another alien soldier. It was a human, a woman in combat armor, visor lifted, eyes sharp and dark. She raised a hand. "Mr. Taylor," she shouted over the chaos, "we're here to get you out, now move." Bill blinked, stunned. Soldiers in full tactical gear poured in behind her, their weapons barking as they pushed the aliens back. He struggled to his feet, clutching the shotgun. "Who the hell are you people?" "United Earth Defense Force," the woman said, grabbing his arm. "And you just lit the fuse, sir. Welcome to the war." A roar of alien fury shook the ground as more soldiers surged through the corn. Bill's rescuer shoved him toward the back exit. The sky burned, the ground shook, and Bill Taylor realized his farm had just become the front line of humanity's first true war for survival. Bill stumbled through the smoke, led by the armored soldier who had burst into his barn. Her grip was firm, her movements sharp, like every step was part of a drilled routine. Behind them, gunfire and explosions rolled through the fields. The once peaceful rows of corn were burning, shredded by energy blasts and tracer fire. "Keep low," she barked, pulling him down as a blast of plasma seared the air above their heads. The beam smashed into a silo, turning it into a fireball. Bill covered his face as debris rained down. "Lady, I don't even know your name," Bill shouted, coughing on the smoke. The woman half-turned, visor glowing with reflected firelight. "General Miranda Parker, United Earth Defense Force." Bill blinked. "General, you look barely 40. 43, she snapped, dragging him onward. "And if you don't keep moving, you won't live to argue about it." They burst through the back of the barn into open ground. A helicopter, sleek and bristling with weaponry, waited with its rotors already spinning. A squad of soldiers laid down suppressing fire as Parker shoved Bill toward the ramp. "Go," she ordered. Bill scrambled up the ramp, gripping his shotgun so hard his knuckles whitened. Inside, more troops were strapping in, their faces tense under visors. As Parker followed, another alien blast streaked past, searing the tail of the helicopter. The craft shuddered but lifted, rotors slicing through the smoke. Bill dropped into a seat, breathless, heart pounding. Below his farm, his family's land, his whole life was engulfed in flames. Corn burned like torches, barns collapsed, and alien soldiers swarmed like ants. His throat tightened. "That's my home," he whispered. Parker strapped herself in across from him, her dark eyes sharp. "It's the first battlefield of a bigger war, Mr. Taylor. You'll have your revenge, but right now you're our priority." Bill's gaze snapped to her. "My priority? I'm just a farmer." Her expression hardened. "You're the man who killed 3 Goran soldiers with a shotgun. Do you know how impossible that is? Bill blinked. It's just buckshot, close range. Exactly, Parker said. Their armor is designed to deflect energy weapons, but it's weak against old-fashioned projectiles. You exposed a flaw in their design. That makes you valuable. Bill shook his head in disbelief. I didn't sign up for any of this. I just wanted to protect my land. You did more than that, Parker replied grimly. You lit a fire the whole planet's been waiting for. The helicopter banked hard, and Bill saw the full scale of the battle. Alien troops clashed with Earth forces across the fields. Jets strafed the Goran ship, missiles slamming into its shields. The alien vessel retaliated with brutal precision, firing beams that cut swaths through the farmland. Smoke rose in dark pillars, blotting out the sky. Bill swallowed hard. Good Lord, this is war. Parker nodded, and it started in your backyard. Aboard the alien ship. Commander Drexen paced inside the temporary command post, his claws scraping against the metal floor. His squad leaders reported losses, voices tight with disbelief. Commander, perimeter teams 3 and 5 are gone. Human counterattack was faster than expected. Impossible, Drexen snarled. They were supposed to be primitives. They fight with coordination, another officer said. Their aircraft outmaneuver ours, and, he hesitated. Our armor is failing against their projectile weapons. Several units reported fatal breaches. Drexen's eyes blazed. Projectiles, crude metal slugs, that should not. He cut himself off, his stomach twisting. He thought of the human who had killed 3 of his warriors before being subdued. Perhaps the scouts hadn't exaggerated after all. The comm crackled. Commander, the human prisoner has escaped. Drexen froze. What? Local forces extracted him during the attack. They're retreating with him now. Rage boiled in Drexen's chest. That farmer, weathered, gray-haired, nothing but dirt under his nails, had undone everything. The humiliation burned. Deploy hunters, he snarled. I want that human alive. The Supreme Commander will have his head if we fail again. Back on the helicopter. Bill stared at Parker, trying to process everything. So you've known about these aliens for years, and you just didn't tell us. Her jaw tightened. It was classified. After first contact, world leaders decided to keep it quiet while we prepared. If the Gorans thought we were weak, they'd come sooner. We needed time to build defenses, form alliances. Alliances? Bill asked. She gave a grim smile. The Arcturians, old enemies of the Gorans, they gave us technology. We adapted it, quietly, carefully, until now. Bill shook his head. So my farm, it was bait. Parker hesitated. We couldn't predict where they'd land, but we did know they'd target agriculture. They always do. Food is power. Bill's fists clenched. So my land was just another chess piece. You saved lives, Parker countered firmly. Your resistance slowed them down long enough for us to mobilize. Don't forget that. The helicopter jolted violently. Warning alarms blared. Missile lock, the pilot shouted. Incoming. Parker grabbed the rail. Hold on. A streak of light cut through the smoke, slamming into the helicopter's side. The world spun. Metal shrieked. Soldiers were thrown against the walls. Bill felt weightless, then crushed as the craft spiraled down. Brace, the pilot screamed. The helicopter slammed into the ground, plowing through dirt and snapping trees. Flames erupted. The impact rattled Bill's bones, knocking the breath from his lungs. For a moment there was only ringing silence, then groans, shouts, fire crackling. Bill coughed, choking on smoke. His vision swam. Parker was already unbuckled, dragging a wounded soldier from the wreck. Blood ran down her temple, but her eyes burned with determination. Everyone out, she yelled. Bill staggered after her, shotgun still miraculously clutched in his hand. They stumbled into the open, the wreckage burning behind them. Above, alien hunters descended, sleek flyers dropping armored soldiers into the field. Their weapons glowed, ready to finish the job. Bill's stomach dropped. There were too many of them, too close. Parker raised her rifle, shouting to her squad. Form up, defend the perimeter. Bill swallowed hard, stepping beside her. His knees trembled, but he raised his shotgun anyway. Guess this is where I die, he muttered. Parker glanced at him, a thin smile cutting through the chaos. Not today, farmer. The aliens charged, weapons blazing. The soldiers opened fire. Plasma and bullets tore through the smoke. Bill fired, an alien fell. Another advanced, faster, meaner. Bill reloaded, sweat stinging his eyes, heart pounding. And then a sound split the air. Not alien, not human. A horn, low, resonant, echoing across the battlefield. Both sides froze just for a heartbeat. From the tree line to the west, shadows emerged. Not human soldiers, not alien troops, something else. Massive armored figures, bipedal scaled, their weapons glowing with eerie blue light. Their crests shimmered under the firelight as they advanced. Parker's eyes widened. Arcturians, she breathed. Bill's jaw dropped. What the hell is an Arcturian? Before Parker could answer, the newcomers unleashed a storm of firepower that ripped into the Gorons' flank. Alien screams filled the air. The hunters broke formation, chaos spreading. Bill staggered back, stunned. Allies, real alien allies, fighting side by side with humans. The battlefield had just changed. But as Bill turned to Parker for answers, an alien sniper's shot cracked through the chaos. She jerked, her armor sparking. Blood blossomed across her side. Bill shouted, lunging to catch her as she fell. The general's face was pale, her breath ragged. "Get to cover," she gasped. And the battlefield roared around them. Bill Taylor's knees dug into the dirt as he held General Parker in his arms. Her armor was blackened where the alien shot had hit, smoke rising from the wound. Blood seeped between his fingers as he pressed down, desperate to stop it. "Stay with me, General," he muttered, his voice cracked. "Don't you dare leave me here with all this mess." Parker's eyes fluttered open, dark with pain but sharp with will. "Shut up, Farmer, just listen." She gritted her teeth as another explosion rattled the ground. "Command, too far, squad leaders down, that makes you." Bill blinked. "Me, I'm no soldier." Her hand clamped onto his wrist, surprisingly strong. "You fought. You killed 3 Gorons before we even got here. You can do this." "I fix tractors, I shoot coyotes, I." "Exactly," Parker cut him off, her voice harsh, urgent. "You think simple, direct, that's what they need right now." Her eyes flicked to the remaining soldiers pinned down behind burning wreckage. "Lead them, hold the line until reinforcements arrive." Bill's stomach churned. His whole body wanted to run, to hide, to wake up from this nightmare. But the soldiers were looking his way, fear in their eyes. They were young, bruised, bleeding, and they needed someone to believe in. And somehow that someone was him. Bill swallowed hard, stood, and racked the pump of his shotgun. "All right, boys and girls, looks like it's my turn." The battle turns. Alien plasma fire raked the field, melting soil and torching grass. The Gorons advanced in tight formation, their armor gleaming under the morning sun. Bill's voice cut through the chaos. "Don't waste ammo, aim for the joints." The soldiers adjusted, bullets punching into alien knees, elbows, neck seams. Armor cracked and towering warriors stumbled. It wasn't clean, but it was working. Bill fired, the recoil hammering his shoulder. Another Goron fell. He reloaded with shaking hands, sweat dripping into his eyes. A soldier shouted, "Farmer, left flank." Bill turned. 3 Gorons charged from the smoke, weapons raised. His shotgun barked once, one alien crumpled, but the other 2 kept coming. Bill's mind raced. His tractor. It was half-wrecked, smoking from the helicopter crash, but the engine block was intact. "Cover me," he yelled. He sprinted, plasma bolt slicing past. Sliding into the tractor cab, he yanked wires, slammed the ignition. The engine roared to life, coughing black smoke. Bill shoved the throttle, sending the hulking machine lurching forward. The tractor barreled into the 2 advancing aliens, crunching them beneath steel wheels. Sparks flew as armor split. The tractor groaned, sputtered, then died in a plume of smoke. Bill climbed out, coughing, shotgun ready. The soldiers stared in disbelief. "You're insane," one muttered. "Damn right," Bill said, pumping another shell into the chamber. The tide was shifting. The Arcturians pressed the Gorons hard, their blue weapons slicing through alien ranks. Side by side with humans, they formed a line, forcing the invaders back toward their drop ship. For the first time, the Gorons faltered. "Commander Drexen." From the command post, Drexen roared in fury, his fangs bared. Holographic displays flickered with casualty reports. Too many, far too many. "This is a disgrace," he thundered, slamming his clawed fist into the console. Sparks flew. His second-in-command, Vorkal, stepped back warily. "Commander, the humans fight with precision, and they're allies." "Silence!" Drexen snarled. His chest heaved, armor scraping as he turned toward the battlefield. Through the viewport, he saw his warriors falter under the combined human archery and assault. And at the center of it, him. That cursed farmer. Drexen's mandibles clicked in rage. He had underestimated the humans, no longer. "Prepare the warbeasts," he growled. Vorkal hesitated, but Commander. "Now," Drexen bellowed. His voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "If our soldiers cannot break them, then the beasts will." Back on the field, Bill dropped into cover beside Parker, who was propped against a crate, her face pale but alert. She watched him fire, reload, and shout commands with grim satisfaction. "You're doing it," she said weakly. "You're leading." Bill snorted. "I'm improvising, big difference." "That's what leadership is," she rasped. Before Bill could answer, a sound rolled across the battlefield, a guttural bellow, deep and animalistic. The ground trembled. From the Goran lines, cages split open. Massive creatures surged forth, six-legged, armored, their jaws lined with serrated teeth. Their eyes glowed red as handlers whipped them into frenzy. One soldier whispered in terror, "What the hell are those?" Parker's voice was grim. "Warbeasts, living siege engines, they use them to crush cities." Bill's stomach dropped, "And they brought them to my farm." The first beast charged, plowing through burning corn. It swatted a soldier aside like a rag doll, jaws snapping shut on another. Screams filled the air. "Fall back," Bill shouted. "Form a line around the wounded." The soldiers scrambled, but panic spread fast. The beasts were unstoppable, their armored hides shrugging off bullets. Plasma blasts from archery slowed them, but not enough. Bill fired at one charging beast. The buckshot peppered its face, making it rear back with a shriek, but it kept coming. "Farmer," Parker shouted, pointing. "The harvester tanks behind their lines." Bill squinted. Giant alien machines, squat and humming, glowing with energy. "What about them?" "They power the beast's control implants. Take those out, the beasts go feral. Uncontrollable, it's a risk, but it beats waiting to be chewed," Bill finished grimly. "The gamble." Bill grabbed two soldiers. "Cover me, we're going after those tanks." They stared at him. "You're insane." "Yeah," Bill said, "but it's working." They sprinted across open ground, dodging plasma fire and snapping jaws. A beast thundered past, chasing archerians into the tree line. Bill's shotgun barked, dropping a handler. He dove behind a smoking husk of machinery. Ahead, the tanks pulsed, guarded by armored elites. "All right," Bill muttered, reloading. "Time to do something stupid." He charged. The soldiers followed, rifles blazing. Aliens turned, startled, but too late. Bill reached the first tank, ramming his shotgun muzzle into a vent. He fired. The machine screamed with sparks, energy bleeding out in arcs of light. The beast nearby shrieked, convulsing. Its handlers shouted in panic as it turned on them, jaws snapping. "Keep going," Bill roared. The second tank loomed ahead. Plasma bolts sizzled past. One grazed his shoulder, burning fabric and skin. He gritted his teeth, ignored the pain, and slammed another round into the vent. Boom, sparks, screams. Two beasts broke free, tearing into alien ranks. Chaos erupted as Gorans turned their weapons on their own creatures. The battlefield dissolved into carnage. Bill collapsed behind cover, chest heaving, shoulder burning. The two soldiers with him whooped in disbelief. "You did it," one shouted. "Yeah," Bill groaned, "but I think they noticed." He was right. Across the field, Commander Drexen stood tall, his armor gleaming, his eyes fixed on Bill. "Farmer," he growled, his voice carrying across the chaos. "You are mine." The commander leapt down from the ridge, striding through smoke and fire like a demon. His blade crackled with energy. His soldiers fell in around him, forming a wedge. Bill staggered to his feet, shotgun trembling in his hands. Parker's voice rasped through the comms. "Bill, don't face him alone." But Bill's eyes locked on Drexen's. Something hot and primal burned in his chest. Rage, defiance. This wasn't just about his farm anymore. It was about Earth. He raised the shotgun, muttering under his breath, "Come on, you son of a bitch." The commander charged, and the battlefield roared. The battlefield smelled of fire and blood. Smoke curled from burning corn, drifting across the churned-up earth. Human shouts mixed with alien roars, the clash of bullets, plasma, and beast howls echoing under a sky scarred with contrails. Bill Taylor stood in the middle of it all, shotgun raised, his heart hammering so loud it drowned out everything else. Across from him strode Commander Drexin, towering, armored, each step deliberate. His energy blade hummed with a deadly glow, vibrating in the air like a wasp's wings. Drexin's voice cut through the chaos, deep and contemptuous. "You are nothing, a primitive farmer. Yet you humiliated my warriors, turned my beasts against me. I will end you myself." Bill spat into the dirt, tightening his grip on the shotgun. "Funny, you talk an awful lot for someone who bleeds just like the rest of us." The commander's mandibles clicked in anger. "Then bleed you shall." Clash. Drexin charged with terrifying speed, his blade cutting an arc of burning light. Bill barely dove aside, the heat of the swing brushing his back. The ground hissed where the blade struck, searing a smoking gash in the soil. Bill rolled, came up on one knee, and fired. The shotgun blast slammed into Drexin's chest, knocking him back half a step. Sparks danced from the armor, but it held. The commander laughed, a harsh, cruel sound. Crude, ineffective. Bill pumped another round. "Guess I'll just keep knocking until the door comes down." The next blast caught Drexin in the shoulder seam. The alien hissed, staggering slightly. Bill's eyes widened. It wasn't much, but it was something. "You feel that?" Bill growled. "That's Iowa steel talking." Drexin snarled and lunged. Bill ducked, but the alien's clawed gauntlet caught him across the ribs, throwing him into the dirt. Pain exploded in his side, his vision blurring. His shotgun skidded away. Bill gasped, scrambling on hands and knees. The commander loomed over him, blade raised for the killing strike. But a flash of blue light streaked across the field. An Arcturian warrior slammed into Drexin, tackling him aside. The two titans crashed, rolling in a storm of sparks and roars. The Arcturian's voice boomed. "You will not harm this human, butcher." Bill recognized him, one of the alien allies who had arrived with the horn blast. Scaled armor gleamed, crest glowing faintly. The warrior fought with savage grace, staff weapon crackling against Drexin's blade. For a moment, Bill could only stare, chest heaving, ribs aching. Aliens fighting aliens on his farm. "General Parker." Not far away, Parker fought consciousness. Propped against a half-broken wall, blood soaking her side, she watched the duel through blurred vision. Her soldiers kept her alive with covering fire, but she could see it. The line was failing. Too many Gorons, too many beasts still thrashing in confusion. If Drexin killed Bill and the Arcturian, morale would collapse. Her comm crackled. "General, shields at 30%. Enemy reinforcements incoming. We can't hold much longer." She forced herself to sit straighter, pain tearing at her side. "Then we don't hold, we strike." Her eyes fixed on the Goron dropship, its shields flickering under repeated missile strikes. That was the key. If it fell, the Gorons would have no fallback. Parker's voice was grim. "Target the command ship. All remaining heavy weapons, focus fire, bring it down." Duel of wills. Drexin shoved the Arcturian back, blade humming. "Traitors, you crawl beside these vermin." The Arcturian's crest flared. "We know strength when we see it, and humanity has more than you ever understood." Their weapons clashed, sparks spraying. Drexin struck with brute power, each swing shaking the ground. The Arcturian moved with fluid precision, staff twirling, deflecting blows, striking with bursts of crackling energy. Bill crawled for his shotgun, ribs screaming. His fingers brushed the stock just as Drexin's blade slammed the Arcturian to the ground. The warrior roared in pain, armor scorched. The commander raised his blade for the killing stroke. "You will die first, traitor." Bill rose to one knee, shotgun leveled. "Not today." He fired. The blast hit Drexin square in the side of the head. The alien's helmet cracked, sparks flying. Drexin reeled, bellowing in rage. Bill pumped again, firing at the commander's knee joint. The blast punched through, spraying ichor. Drexin roared, staggering. The Arcturian seized the opening, slamming his staff into Drexin's chest. The commander flew back, crashing through a burning fence. Bill staggered to his feet, breathing ragged. "You all right?" he asked the Arcturian. The alien warrior pushed himself up, nodding. "I am Kersh, and you fight like a true warrior farmer." Bill grimaced, shotgun heavy in his hands. "I fight like a desperate old man, but thanks." "The sky burns." Explosions ripped overhead. Bill and Kersh looked up as Earth jets screamed past, firing their last payloads. Missiles slammed into the Goran drop ship's shields. The barrier flickered, then collapsed with a sound like tearing glass. The vessel shook under the barrage, hull plating buckling. Fire blossomed from its flanks. Parker's order had worked. But victory was fragile. More alien reinforcements poured from the ship, dozens at a time. Warbeasts howled, handlers whipping them forward. The ground shook as the enemy made one final push. Kersh's crest dimmed as he saw it. They will not stop, not until they break us. Bill spat blood, wiping his mouth. Then we don't give them the chance. Commander Drexen rises. Smoke parted. Drexen rose from the wreckage, armor cracked, ichor dripping from his knee, helmet sparking from the shotgun blast. His eyes burned violet with fury. He limped, but his presence was still terrifying. His voice thundered. "Farmer, you think you have won? This is only the beginning." Bill raised his shotgun again, though his arms shook with exhaustion. "Yeah, well, let's see how many beginnings you walk away from." Drexen snarled, raising his blade. And the ground beneath them shook violently. A deep rumble rolled across the battlefield. Soldiers on both sides froze, looking around in confusion. From the sky, a shadow fell. Bill's heart stopped. It wasn't another Goran dropship. It wasn't a jet. It was a massive Earth warship descending through the clouds, sleek, black, bristling with cannons. Its engines roared like thunder as it hovered above the cornfields. Kersh's crest flared in awe. "Your people, you built that." Bill's jaw tightened. "Guess we had a few tricks we didn't tell anyone about." The warship's voice boomed across the field, cold and mechanical. "This is the United Earth Defense flagship Resolute. Surrender or be annihilated." Drexen's eyes widened. For the first time, doubt flickered across his face. But then his mandibles curled into a grim smile. "Then we shall all burn together." He raised his arm, signaling. Deep within the Goran ship, something massive stirred, plates shifted, energy flared. Parker's voice crackled weakly over comms. "Bill, get out of there now. That's not a ship, that's a doomsday engine." Bill's blood ran cold. "A what?" The Goran vessel split apart, revealing a colossal weapon, glowing with enough power to vaporize half the county. Its core pulsed like a star, charging to fire. Bill stared, shotgun limp in his hands. The Resolute's cannons charged. Human and Arcturian soldiers froze in horror. And the weapon roared to life. The battlefield froze. Human soldiers, Arcturian allies, even the Gorans themselves stared up as the Goran drop ship split open like some monstrous flower. Panels peeled back to reveal a glowing core, pulsing with unstable energy. Lightning arced across its surface, casting jagged shadows across the ruined cornfields. Bill Taylor squinted through the smoke, his gut sinking. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't meant to scare people. It was meant to erase them. General Parker's voice crackled over the comms, ragged and weak. "That's no transport, it's a planetary purifier. They weren't planning to occupy Iowa, Bill. They were planning to scorch it." Bill swallowed hard. "Scorch, you mean?" "Obliteration," she cut in, her voice grim. "They'll burn everything for miles, no survivors, no evidence. They'll make an example of us." Bill's grip tightened on his shotgun. "Not if I've got anything to say about it." The weapon charges. The purifier core pulsed brighter, its glow building like a second sun. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Static prickled across Bill's skin, raising the hairs on his arms. Kersh, the Arcturian warrior at his side, hissed in alarm. "That weapon will not only destroy your lands, its radiation will poison the soil for generations. They mean to erase Iowa from existence." Bill's jaw clenched. His farm, his family's land, generations of sweat and toil, all about to be turned into ash and dust. The United Earth flagship Resolute hovered overhead, its cannons glowing as they locked on. A human voice boomed through the loudspeakers. "This is Captain Abrams of the UES Resolute. All units disengage. We are preparing to neutralize the purifier." Bill's stomach twisted. Neutralize? With that much firepower pointed down at his land, neutralize sounded a whole lot like flatten everything. And still, the purifier charged faster. Energy coalesced into a single blinding sphere, humming louder, brighter. Drexen's defiance. Commander Drexen limped forward, battered but unbroken, his eyes blazing violet fire. His laughter rang across the field. "Do you see now, farmer?" he bellowed. "Your defiance has cost you everything. The Gorons do not lose. If we cannot claim this world, we will salt its soil and feed its ashes to our young." Bill's hands shook with rage. "You arrogant lizard son of a—" He stopped, something clicked in his mind. Salt the soil, ashes, but what if the Gorons didn't get the chance? Bill's eyes flicked to the purifier core, massive, glowing, pulsing with unstable energy. Energy that reminded him of something, a propane tank left too long in the summer sun. If you poked it wrong, it didn't just hiss, it blew sky high. Bill muttered under his breath, "You idiots built yourself a giant propane bomb." "The plan?" Kersh grabbed his arm. "What are you thinking, human?" Bill's gaze never left the purifier. "If I can get close enough, that thing's unstable. Overload it, push it past safe limits. It'll blow before they can fire it." The Arcturian's crest dimmed in shock. "You would ignite their weapon. That explosion will level everything within kilometers." Bill's mouth was dry, his ribs ached. His shotgun felt impossibly heavy, but his voice was steady. "Better Iowans level it ourselves than let them scorch the whole damn state." Kersh stared at him for a long moment. Then the alien warrior bowed his head slightly. "You are mad, but I will stand with you." Bill gave a tired grin. "Hell, madness runs in my family." "General Parker." In the wreckage where she lay, Parker heard every word over the squad channel. She tried to shout no, but the pain stole her breath. Her vision swam. She knew what Bill was planning. She also knew there was no other choice. Her hand fumbled at her wrist console. She keyed the private channel. "Bill." His voice came through, ragged, determined. "Yeah, General. You don't come back from something like this. I never planned to die in a hospital bed anyway." Her chest tightened. She wanted to tell him he wasn't just a farmer anymore, that he was a soldier in the truest sense. But the words caught in her throat. So she whispered, "Make it count." "The char." Bill and Kersh sprinted through the chaos, dodging plasma bolts and snapping warbeast jaws. Soldiers shouted after them, but neither looked back. Smoke stung Bill's eyes, his lungs burned, but he kept running. Drexen saw them. The commander's roar shook the air. "Stop them." Goran soldiers turned, firing everything they had. Kersh spun his staff, deflecting bolts, blue sparks flying. Bill dove behind cover, shotgun barking, dropping 2 Gorons with brutal efficiency. Step by step, they carved a path through the enemy line. The purifier towered ahead, glowing brighter, unstable arcs of lightning lashing out. Its hum had become a scream. "Almost there," Bill shouted. A shadow loomed. Drexen himself blocked their path, blade humming with deadly light. His armor smoked, his knee leaked ichor, but his fury burned hotter than ever. "You will not touch the purifier," he snarled. Bill's breath caught. He was out of shells. His shotgun was empty. Kersh stepped forward, staff raised. "Then you face us both." Duel of 3. The fight was chaos. Drexen struck with monstrous strength, his blade searing through dirt and metal. Kersh countered with spinning arcs, sparks spraying. Bill darted around them, searching desperately for an opening. The commander's blade slashed across Kersh's chest, sending the Arcturian staggering. Drexen raised the killing blow. Bill swung the shotgun like a club, smashing it into the alien's wounded knee. Drexen roared, stumbling. Kersh seized the moment, staff crackling, slamming into Drexen's helm. The commander reeled, armor cracking, visor shattering. His violet eyes glared through the smoke, burning with hatred. "You cannot kill me, farmer," he spat. "I am the Goron Empire." Bill's chest heaved. He pointed the shotgun barrel directly at the exposed seam of Drexen's faceplate. "And I'm Iowa." He pulled the trigger. The blast tore through. Drexen staggered, ichor spraying. His blade fizzled, dropping into the dirt. The commander fell to his knees, choking, his voice a rasp. "This is not over." Then he collapsed still. The core. Bill and Kersh didn't waste a second. They sprinted past Drexen's body, reaching the purifier. Its glow was blinding now, its scream deafening. Sparks lashed out, searing the ground. "Where's the weak point?" Bill shouted. Kersh's crest flared as he scanned. There, the conduit junction. Bill saw it, a glowing panel at the base, pulsing wildly. He jammed the shotgun barrel into it and fired the last shell. The core shrieked, energy flared. Lightning exploded outward, hurling them both back. Bill hit the ground hard, ears ringing, vision white. He staggered up, chest heaving, staring at the purifier. Its glow had gone from steady to frantic, energy pulsing faster and faster. Kersh dragged himself up beside him. His crest glowed faintly. "You've done it. You've doomed us all." Bill grimaced. "Better us than the whole damn planet." The countdown. Above, the Resolute's captain shouted over comms. "All units pull back. The purifier is destabilizing. Repeat, pull back immediately." Soldiers scrambled, dragging the wounded, retreating from the core. Warbeasts bolted, howling in fear. Even Goran troops faltered, realizing the danger. Bill stood, swaying, watching the core pulse like a dying star. He thought of his father, his grandfather, all the tailors who had worked this land before him. He thought of his fields, now burning. And he thought of Parker, bleeding but alive. He raised his shotgun one last time in a ragged salute. For Iowa. The purifier's core flared, brighter than the sun. And exploded. For a moment, there was no battlefield. No war cries, no gunfire, no pain. Just light, blinding, searing light. The purifier core erupted like a newborn sun, its unstable energy ripping itself apart from within. A shockwave ripped across the Iowa fields, flattening what little corn still stood, hurling bodies, human and alien alike, into the dirt. Trees bent, splintered, and toppled. Barns collapsed. Fires were snuffed out, then reignited by the explosion's heat. The sound came next. A roar so immense it seemed to swallow the sky, rattling bones and shattering glass for miles around. When it passed, silence fell over the smoking ruin. In the crater, Bill Taylor awoke face down in the dirt, ears ringing, lungs burning. For a moment he thought he was dead. The earth beneath him felt warm, too warm, as if the soil itself remembered the fire that had just torn through it. He rolled onto his back with a groan, staring at the gray sky smeared with ash. His ribs screamed. His shoulder throbbed, every breath hurt. "Still alive," he croaked, surprised by the sound of his own voice. "Guess it'll take more than space lizards to kill me." Something moved nearby. A shadow loomed. Bill fumbled for his shotgun out of instinct, only to remember he'd emptied it. But the shadow was Goran. Kersh, the Arcturian warrior, staggered into view, his scaled armor scorched and smoking. His crest flickered weakly, dim with exhaustion, but he still stood. "You live," Kersh rasped. "Barely," Bill muttered. He pushed himself up on shaky legs, looking around. The battlefield was a graveyard. Craters pocked the earth. Alien corpses lay twisted. Human soldiers dragged themselves from rubble. Smoke curled from the shattered husk of the Goran purifier. And in the middle of it all, half buried in ash, lay the body of Commander Drexin. His armor cracked, his mandibles slack, his blade extinguished. Bill spat in the dirt. "Good riddance." "General Parker." Bill and Kersh stumbled toward the wreckage where Parker had been left. His heart sank when he saw her still form propped against a wall of sandbags, unmoving. "General," he shouted, dropping to his knees beside her. Her face was pale, lips parted, blood dried at the corner of her mouth. For a terrible second, Bill thought she was gone. Then her eyes fluttered open. "You look like hell, farmer," she whispered. Bill let out a shaky laugh. "Takes one to know one." He pressed a hand to her shoulder as relief washed through him. "The purifier's gone. We did it." Her gaze softened, but her voice was sharp. "No, you did it, you and the Arcturian." Kersh inclined his head solemnly. "Bill Taylor fought with honor. The Gorans will not forget his defiance." Bill frowned. "And what does that mean?" Kersh's crest dimmed. "It means you have just made an enemy of the strongest empire in this galaxy, and their vengeance will come." Above Earth, high above the burning fields, the United Earth flagship Resolute hovered with engines humming. Its captain, Abrams, stared grimly at the tactical display. The purifier was gone, but the Goran mothership still loomed in orbit, massive and bristling with weapons. Its fleet shifted, preparing to strike. "Sir," an officer said nervously, "their guns are powering up." Abrams nodded. "Good, let them." The officer blinked. "Sir." Abrams allowed himself a thin smile. "They thought Iowa was unguarded. They thought humanity was weak. Let's show them what we've been hiding." He turned to comms. "Activate the grid." All across Earth's orbit, hidden satellites came alive. Panels unfolded, cannons extended, shields flared. What had once looked like harmless space junk now revealed itself as a glittering defense network, the Aegis Grid, Earth's secret shield. Hundreds of beams of light connected, forming a web of energy around the planet. The officer's jaw dropped. My God. Abrams nodded. 5 years of preparation, 5 years of pretending to be backward farmers and dreamers. Now we let the Gorons choke on the truth. The standoff. On the Goron mothership, Supreme Commander Vex Talon's violet eyes widened as the grid flared to life. What sorcery is this? He hissed. Fleet Captain Zara Locke stood stiffly at his side. It appears the humans were never as weak as we believed. Vex Talon's claws scraped the console. Impossible. They had no fleet, no allies. Clearly they did, Zara said softly. Vex Talon's mandibles clicked in fury. Then we will crush them before their charade spreads. But as he looked at the tactical display, his stomach twisted. The Aegis Grid's firepower rivaled his own fleet. And orbiting just behind Earth's defenses, new signatures appeared, Arcturian dreadnoughts, their sleek hulls bristling with weapons. Zara's voice was almost a whisper. We are surrounded, Supreme Commander. Vex Talon slammed his fist down, sparks flying. His empire had never retreated, never surrendered, but one more volley and his flagship could be reduced to slag. He seethed in silence, his pride warring with his survival. On the ground, back in Iowa, soldiers regrouped among the ruins. Medics worked frantically, treating wounds. Drones buzzed overhead, scanning for survivors. Bill sat beside Parker, both leaning against the wreckage of the downed helicopter. His shotgun rested across his lap, useless but comforting. Kersh stood guard nearby, staff glowing faintly. So, Bill muttered, voice hoarse, we win. Parker gave a weak chuckle. For today, but you heard Kersh, the Gorons don't take humiliation lightly. Bill looked at the smoking remains of his farm. Rows of blackened stumps stretched as far as he could see. Well, they'll just have to get used to it. My family's been fighting for this land since before we had electricity. We don't scare easy. Kersh studied him for a long moment. Your defiance is dangerous, but it may also inspire others. The galaxy is full of worlds who fear the Gorons. If they hear of Earth's victory, his crest glowed brighter. They may rise too. Bill raised a tired brow. So what, I'm some kinda symbol now, Farmer Bill, intergalactic freedom fighter. Parker smirked faintly despite the pain. Stranger things have happened. Vex Talon's choice. On the bridge of the mothership, Vex Talon stared into the holographic feed. Images of his defeated soldiers, his fallen commander, and the ruined purifier. This was a test. President Elena Martinez's voice rang through the channel, calm but cold. Her silver-haired image stood tall before him. You failed it, Supreme Commander. Withdraw now and Earth will allow your fleet to leave intact. Continue this fight and you will not survive the hour. Vex Talon's claws drummed against the console. Humiliation burned like acid in his veins. To retreat was to shame the Empire. To fight was suicide. Zara Locke watched him silently, her scaled skin gleaming under the bridge lights. She knew what choice he would make, not because it was wise, but because it was inevitable. Finally, Vex Talon hissed, prepare the fleet for withdrawal. The bridge went silent. Never in living memory had the Goron Empire retreated. Officers shifted nervously, unable to meet his gaze. This is not the end, Vex Talon growled. The humans have won a battle. They will not win the war. On the farm, as the Goron ships turned away, cheers erupted among the human and Arcturian soldiers still alive on the ground. Smoke still rose from the fields, but the roar of alien engines faded into the distance. Bill let out a long breath, his chest heavy. They're leaving. Parker's voice was quiet, for now. Bill stared at the blackened husks of his cornfield. The farm was gone. Everything he'd built was gone, but deep in his gut, pride burned. They fought, they'd bled, and they'd won. Kersh stepped forward, his scaled hand resting briefly on Bill's shoulder. You may have saved your world today, farmer, but you've also awakened the Empire's wrath. Be ready. Bill managed a crooked smile. I've been ready since the day I bought this shotgun. Kersh tilted his head, almost amused. Then perhaps the galaxy still has hope. Bill looked at the ruined land, then up at the sky, where Earth's secret fleet glittered in orbit. His farm was ashes, but Earth's fight had just begun. And somewhere out there, the Goran Empire seethed. The land still smelled of ash. Blackened soil stretched for miles where once the cornfields had stood tall and golden. Wreckage littered the countryside, alien armor, broken weapons, the twisted husks of warbeasts. Smoke no longer rose, but the scars remained. Bill Taylor sat on the tailgate of a military truck, his arm wrapped in a fresh cast. His ribs were bound tight, each breath sharp, yet he refused to leave the ruins of his farm. The government wanted him in Washington in front of cameras. The generals wanted to debrief him. The president herself had sent word she'd like a private audience. But Bill said no. His place was here, in the dirt his family had tilled for 3 generations. If they wanted him, they knew where to find him. General Miranda Parker arrived in a convoy of armored vehicles. She stepped out slowly, her own side bandaged, her stride stiff but defiant. Soldiers saluted as she passed, but she waved them down. She wasn't here as a commander, not today. Bill watched her approach, shotgun resting across his lap. "You're supposed to be in a hospital," he said. She smirked, "So are you." He chuckled, though it hurt. "Fair enough." They sat in silence for a moment, looking out at the scorched earth. Finally, Parker said, "We're nomming it Fort Taylor." Bill blinked. "What?" "The president approved it this morning. This site will become the first joint Earth archery and defense base. The soldiers asked for the name." Bill shook his head, incredulous. "You can't be serious." Parker's expression softened. "Bill, you turned a cornfield into a battlefield. You showed the galaxy that Earth doesn't roll over. You gave us the first real victory against the Gorans in living memory. You think they'll call it anything else?" Bill rubbed his face with his good hand, groaning. "Lord Almighty, my granddaddy hated the government. Now his land's turning into a military base with his name on it. He'll be rolling in his grave." Parker laughed quietly, then winced at the pain. "Life's funny like that." Kersh, the Arcturian warrior Kersh, stood nearby, watching the human camp with solemn eyes. His crest shimmered faintly in the fatting sunlight. He approached Bill and Parker, bowing his scaled head. "Our dreadnoughts remain in orbit, but soon we must return to Arcturus. The war calls us elsewhere." Bill frowned. "You're leaving already." Kersh placed a hand on his staff. "The Gorans will not sit idle. They will lick their wounds and strike again at you or at another world. But today you have allies. That matters." Parker nodded. "Your people's support turned the tide. Earth won't forget it." Kersh's crest glowed brighter. "And we will not forget the farmer who faced Drexen and lived." Bill shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't kill him alone, couldn't have, took all of us." "Humility," Kersh said softly. "Another weapon the Gorans do not understand." In Washington, far above the ashes of Iowa, in the grand chamber of the United Earth Government, President Elena Martinez stood before the world's leaders. Behind her, holographic displays showed the Aegis grid, Earth's hidden defenses now fully revealed. "The Goran Empire came to test us," she said, her voice steady. "They found not weakness but resolve. They found not fear but unity. And they found that even in the quietest fields of our world, resistance burns." Her words echoed across news feeds, into homes, schools, and military barracks. Bill Taylor's name was already spreading across the globe, an ordinary man who had stood his ground. And across the galaxy, whispers carried farther still. Small colonies, enslaved worlds, and fearful empires spoke his name with quiet hope. Vex Talon. On the Goran homeworld, Supreme Commander Vex Talon knelt in the Imperial chamber before his emperor. His armor was stripped, his mandibles lowered in shame. "You failed me," the emperor's voice rumbled, deep and cold. "Never in 3 centuries has the empire retreated until you faced the humans." Vex Talon's head bowed lower. "They deceived us, hid their strength, aligned with the Arcturians. It was." "Enough," the emperor rose, his massive frame towering. "This failure is instructive. The humans fight with cunning, not just force. They turned your arrogance into your downfall. For that you will learn, you will study them. You will understand them, and when next we strike, it will not be with ignorance." Vex Talon's claws curled against the floor. Hatred burned in his chest. "I will not rest until their world is ash." The emperor's mandibles spread in a cold smile. "See that you do not rest at all, Vex Talon, for the galaxy is changing, and the empire will not be left behind." Back at the farm, night fell over the ruins of Iowa. The stars burned bright above, unshaken by the chaos below. Bill sat on the porch of what was left of his farmhouse. The structure still stood barely, though half its roof was gone. A lantern flickered at his side. His hound lay curled up near his boots, bandaged but alive. Parker joined him, lowering herself carefully into a chair. Kersh stood in the yard, gazing up at the stars as if memorizing them. Bill sipped from a tin cup, wincing at the taste of strong coffee. World leaders talk about sovereignty, alliances, fleets, but me, I just want to plant corn again. Parker smiled faintly. You will, but now your farm is part of something bigger. Bill grunted. Never thought I'd see the day when a shotgun blast in Iowa made waves across the galaxy. Kersh turned, his crest glowing softly. That is the truth of resistance. It starts small, a farmer with a weapon, a soldier refusing to kneel, but it spreads. The Gorons will fear it, and others will follow. Bill looked at the blackened fields, then up at the stars. Let them come back. Next time I'll be waiting, with pants on even. Parker laughed, the sound cutting through the quiet night. Epilogue. Weeks later, construction crews swarmed the ruins of Bill's farm. Where corn once grew, steel foundations rose. Barracks, landing pads, shield towers, the first stones of Fort Taylor. Bill stood at the edge, watching cranes and bulldozers rumble through the soil. A soldier saluted him in passing. He still didn't know what to make of that. But when a group of children from town came to see the ruins, wide-eyed, asking if it was true that a farmer had fought aliens with a shotgun, Bill just shook his head. Sometimes the old ways work best, he told them with a wink. And far above, in the silence of space, Earth's hidden fleet kept watch. The galaxy's strongest empire had tried to break humanity in a cornfield. Instead, they had taught Earth how to fight. And the galaxy would never be the same. Closing line. Bill Taylor raised his eyes to the stars, gripping the shotgun that had started it all. The Gorons would be back, but so would Earth. And next time the galaxy would know exactly who we were.